Have you ever wondered why some parts of our own country are strictly off limits to the public? Deep in the Oregon Cascades, there is a place where the maps simply stop making sense. It is a land of massive evergreen trees, jagged volcanic peaks, and secrets that stay buried in the dirt. Most people go there to hike, camp, or take photos of the beautiful scenery, but some people go into these woods and never come back. They don't just get lost, they vanish. Imagine walking just 10 feet behind your friends on a clear, sunny trail. You bend down to tie your shoe for 5 seconds. When you look up, the trail is empty. There are no footprints in the mud. There are no broken branches. Even the birds in the trees have gone completely silent. This is not a horror movie. This is a terrifying reality that has happened dozens of times in the shadow of these mountains. Search teams with bloodhounds and helicopters spend weeks looking for any sign of life. Usually, they find nothing at all. But when they do find something, it makes the mystery even darker. The government tells us these forbidden zones are closed to protect the environment or rare owls. They claim the missing hikers just took a wrong turn. But if that is true, why are there reports of men in black uniforms guarding empty forest roads? Why do high-tech sensors hum deep inside caves where no one is allowed to go? There is a pattern here that the authorities do not want you to see. If you stay with me until the very end of this video, I'm going to share a leaked report that reveals exactly what was found at the bottom of a restricted ravine last year. It is a piece of evidence so strange that it changes everything we thought we knew about the Oregon Cascades. In the deep woods of the Oregon Cascades, people do not just get lost, they disappear into thin air. This is what experts call the vanishing point. Usually, when a person goes missing, they leave a trail. They leave footprints in the mud or drop a water bottle. Sometimes they even yell for help. But in these specific cases, it is like they were erased from the world. Search dogs are brought in to catch a scent, but even the best dogs often refuse to work. They bark at the empty air or cower in fear. It is as if the very ground has swallowed the person whole. These disappearances happen in a heartbeat, often when a person is only a few feet away from their group. There are strange patterns that connect these victims. Many of them vanish near large fields of granite rocks or high volcanic peaks. Moments after they disappear, the weather often turns violent. Clear blue skies suddenly fill with dark clouds and heavy rain. This convenient weather washes away any tracks that might have been left behind. It makes the search almost impossible for the authorities. Some people think these hikers simply fell into hidden cracks in the earth, but that does not explain why their gear is sometimes found miles away in places no human could climb. The most chilling part is what happens when someone is actually found. Sometimes a person is located days later in an area that was already searched 10 times. They're usually miles away from where they started, across mountains that would take a professional climber days to cross. They're usually missing their shoes and socks, even in freezing weather. When asked what happened, they often have no memory of the event. They describe a sudden blur or a feeling of being watched by something they could not see. It makes you wonder if something in these mountains is hunting or if the land itself is hiding a doorway we aren't supposed to find. While the vanishing point is terrifying, what happens next is even more suspicious. As you move deeper into the Oregon Cascades, you will eventually hit a wall. It is not a wall made of stone or wood. It is a wall of signs, fences, and warnings. These are the forbidden zones. The government claims these areas are closed to protect a rare owl or a specific type of moss. They tell the public that the ground is too unstable for hikers. But if you look at a satellite map, these areas don't look dangerous or special. They look like the rest of the forest. So why are they guarded like a military base? Local hikers have reported strange things near these boundaries. They see motion sensors hidden inside hollowed-out logs. They find cameras mounted high in trees where no one is supposed to be. Some people have even tried to cross these lines just to see what happens. They don't get met by a friendly park ranger in a tan hat. Instead, they are stopped by men in dark green or black uniforms. These men often have no name tags. They carry high-powered rifles and drive SUVs with no license plates. They don't give warnings, they simply tell you to leave or you will be arrested for national security reasons. What could possibly be in the middle of a forest that involves national security? Some people believe these zones are covering up the spots where the most missing 411 cases happen. It's as if the government knows exactly where the danger is, but instead of fixing it, they just hide it. They put up a fence and tell us to look the other way. But the stories from the people who live near these zones are much darker. They talk about bright lights rising out of the trees at 3 a.m. They talk about a low humming sound that vibrates the ground beneath their feet. It makes you ask if they are protecting us from the forest or if they are protecting something inside the forest from us. Deep beneath the roots of the Douglas fir trees, the Oregon Cascades hide a world of shadows. This mountain range was built by volcanoes, which means the ground is like a giant piece of Swiss cheese. It's filled with thousands of miles of lava tubes and deep, winding caves. Most of these caves are mapped and open to the public, but there are some tunnels that do not appear on any official forest map. Locals call them the deep veins. These are the places where the government's interest becomes very clear. If you look closely at the restricted zones, they almost always sit directly on top of these massive underground networks. Locals living near the base of Mount Hood and Mount Jefferson report something strange. They don't just see things, they feel them. Late at night, a low-frequency hum vibrates through the floorboards of their homes. It's a mechanical sound, like a massive engine running miles below the earth. Some hikers have even found vents hidden in the brush. These aren't natural caves, they're smooth, metallic pipes sticking out of the ground that smell of ozone and burnt electricity. When these hikers try to film them, their camera batteries often die instantly. It's as if a powerful energy field is protecting whatever is humming under the rocks. Why would the government need miles of tunnels in the middle of a wilderness? Some whistleblowers claim these are high-tech bunkers designed to survive a global disaster. Others believe they are transport systems that move top-secret cargo away from prying eyes. But there is a scarier theory that ties back to the missing people. If something or someone is living in those caves, the government might not be the one in charge. They might just be the landlords keeping us away so they don't have to explain the truth. The forbidden zones might not be protecting a secret base. They might be feeding grounds that have been fenced off to keep the public from seeing what comes out of the dark. The silence from the authorities is perhaps the most frightening part of the story. You might think the National Park Service would keep a clear list of every person who goes missing. You would expect a public database with maps and photos to help families find their loved ones, but that database does not exist. In fact, when researchers ask for these records using the law, the government often says the files are missing or too expensive to put together. It's as if they want these people to stay forgotten. When a hiker vanishes in a forbidden zone, the news reports usually stop after only 1 or 2 days. There is also a strange pattern of intimidation. Many hikers who have seen too much in the Cascades claim they were visited at home. They describe men in suits or dark uniforms who suggest they stop talking about what they saw. These witnesses are told that their stories could cause a panic and that it is better for everyone if they just stay quiet. Even the official rangers who work in these parks seem nervous. If you ask them about the missing 411 cases or the humming sounds from the ground, they often look away. They are trained to give the same answer every time. It was just a mountain lion, or they probably just fell into a creek. But the evidence says otherwise. Mountain lions don't hide clothes or fold them neatly on a rock. They don't carry children 5 miles over a snowy peak in a single night. The government's official stories are full of holes. They use the media to frame these events as simple accidents. They want us to believe the Oregon Cascades are just a quiet place for a weekend trip. By keeping the files locked away and the witnesses quiet, they are controlling the narrative. They are not just covering up a few lost hikers. They are covering up the fact that there are parts of our own land where we are no longer in charge. So what is the truth behind the Oregon Cascades? We have seen the patterns of people vanishing into thin air. We have seen the forbidden zones guarded by men with no names, and we have heard the mechanical hums coming from deep beneath the volcanic rock. It all points to one chilling conclusion.
The government isn't just protecting the forest, they are managing a secret that is far too big for the public to handle. They have built a wall of silence around these mountains because the truth would change everything we believe about our safety. I promised you a reward for staying until the end. Last year, a hiker found a cracked digital camera at the bottom of a restricted ravine near Mount Jefferson. The memory card was still inside. The last photo on that card was not of a mountain lion or a bear. It was a photo of a massive metallic door built directly into the side of a cliff. There were no handles, no hinges, and no signs, just a smooth, black surface that seemed to swallow the light around it. The hiker who found it says he was followed by a black helicopter for 3 days until he handed the camera over to authorities who met him at his car. The government wants us to believe these are just stories. They want us to believe if we stay on the trail,
We are safe, but the fences are moving closer to the roads every year. More trails are being marked as closed for restoration without any trees being planted. It feels like the forbidden zones are growing and the missing 411 cases are not stopping. We are being pushed out of our own wilderness, and the reasons they give us just don't add up anymore. Now, I want to hear from you. The government says these zones are for our protection, but I think they're hiding something they can't control. Do you think these are secret military bases, or is there something not human living in those lava tubes? Maybe you have your own story from the Oregon woods. Leave your theory in the comments below. I will be hearting the most logical and the most terrifying theories. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world's greatest mysteries.